Welcome everybody to the debut episode of my brand new show, JRPG Journal. Now, the goal for this show, or the idea for this show, is to kind of on a weekly basis every Monday give you my own personal retrospective or my own history and thoughts and special memories with particular JRPGs, just kind of how I fell into the games, anything that sticks out about them, maybe funny little tidbits and whatnot. So today, I want to start off with the game that started it all for me, and that is Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1. Now, this is a funny game because leading up to this, I didn't play RPGs at all. I think, like a lot of people, this was the game that got me into RPGs, and or I should say, like a lot of other people, that's what got them into RPGs. And it was all because of my buddy named Josh. Now, you might see recurrences of this guy in this series because he had a great impact on kind of my gaming taste when I was younger. And I can just remember going over to his house, and he had, he was the PlayStation guy. I was more of a Nintendo kid. I grew up, playing Nintendo, Super Nintendo. But then when he got a PlayStation, it kind of blew my mind. And so he invited me over, and I watched him play this game. And it looked weird, like all the characters' hands were squares, and it was very blocky, early days of 3D games. I'm like, what is this game? This is stupid. I don't get it. Like, I don't know why he's playing this game. I was playing games like Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk, Cool Borders, and then I specifically remember this Star Wars game. I can't tell you what it's called, but it's something like Rebel Assault. I don't know what it was. It was probably not very good, but I remember playing it a lot. And then I remember, like, one time I came over, he let me borrow the game, and I'm like, all right, I want to see what this is all about, see what you're doing in this game. And the first thing that immediately struck me was that you could name the characters. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I get to make my own party members, and I can remember I named myself Cloud. Eris and Tifa were two girls I had crushes on at the time. I think Barrett was one of my friends that swore a lot. But yeah, it was just a really eye-opening experience because when I finally got into it, doing the random battles and walking around the world, I was like, wow, this game is really fun. I've never played anything like this before. It's amazing. And once you finally get out of Midgar, I think is when the game really, catches its stride and really becomes special. Like when you see the world map and there's towns everywhere and there's different things you can do. There's Calm, and then there's the Chocobo Farm, and there's all these different things. And it just seemed like a world I could explore. It really opened my eyes to what games could be. Now, before I even really got the game going, when I bought the game myself, when I finally got the game, I can remember one of the first things doing was opening up the case and looking through the manual. Remember those? Remember when publishers had manuals? I know some publishers do that still, like Atlas and Xseed and whatnot, but back in the day, they were very common, and it was really cool because they gave you these very detailed bios of all the different characters, how old they were, birthday, blood type, hobbies, or whatever. And I can remember looking at the characters in the manual and being like, okay, this guy, I didn't call him Sid. I didn't know that's how you pronounced it. I thought his name was Kid. So I called him Kid. And I'm like, yeah, Kid, that's my guy. And then I thought Yuffie looked really cool, or Yuffie, however you say her name. And I'm like, yep, when those characters come into the game, that's who I'm getting in my party. And still to this day, Sid is, I think, one of the better characters in the game. His final limit break it surpasses 9,999 with the high wind, and you're summoning all the missiles and stuff. It just does a ton of damage. And then beyond the characters were very specific towns and cities that really stood out for me. The one above all else was the Gold Saucer. Now, keep in mind, I'm about 10 or 11 when this game came out, and the Gold Saucer was like this super mecha playground. I'm like, man, why isn't this place real? I want to go to the Gold Saucer. I want to ride the transit train, the trolley train, up into the mountain. I want to be in the midst of the fireworks. I want to watch the chocobos race. I want to go down the slides and just play in that massive arcade. To me, my kid imagination was, I want to be at that place. I want to be in that casino fun world, and I want to have a great time. And I think I probably spent more time in the Gold Saucer near the end game when everything's open and you can do whatever you want, probably more than any other area in the game. Now, there's other areas that stood out, like Costa del Sol. Of course, if you know me, I'm very, I like kind of tropical or oceanic type setting. So it was like this very tropical area. I remember one funny thing is you can, there's kids playing soccer with Red 13. I remember you can kick the soccer ball into Red 13 and he gets really mad. I always thought that was fun. And there's this bar that there's this lady that works at the bar at Costa del Sol, and she teases you like, oh, I'm waving out the window, and then you go up and walk to her and she's like, aha, I got you to come in. And I'm like, what a bitch, what the hell. But yeah, Costa del Sol, Gold Saucer, just a ton of other places that were really, really memorable. And then the other thing that I thought was really cool, there were so many secrets. Like each character had a final limit break and a final weapon. You had to like do a quest. It was like an extra adventure to go do this thing. Like with Cloud, you have to chase down the ultimate weapon, and once you defeat him, you finally get his weapon, and then you have to do the battle arena to unlock Omni Slash, and then to get, you know, Sid's Highway, you have to go into the crashed submarine under the water and find it in like a junk pile in the corner. And then, of course, one of the most arduous, but still fun things was the chocobo breeding, when you're trying to make that perfect gold chocobo so you can finally walk on water, go across into the island and get Knights of the Round, the ultimate summon in the game. I remember watching that summon play out. I'm like, wow, that's a summon right there. It just kept going and going and going. And I can remember me and my friends, we all had Final Fantasy VII at the time. We all had our favorite knight. Like, oh, who's your favorite knight of the round table? Like they didn't have names. It was just, you know, what weapon they had or what spell they did. I think one of my favorites was, there was a guy with like a bow staff or something like that. I don't even know. There might not even be that guy. And then a couple other things that really stood out for me were the story, the characters. You get really attached to these characters, like Cloud, where he's like losing his mind. He's trying to figure out who he is. And you can kind of relate to him with, at least for me, because I was young at the time, how he grew up with Tifa. You know, she's his childhood friend and you grew up together. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I have, you know, female friends like that. Tifa is like that to me. And just as you meet these different characters and you interact, and they felt like real people, it was nuts. I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting invested in this story more so than any game I've ever played before. Like a game can tell a story. It was really crazy. And then I think what really added to that was the music, Nobuo Uematsu's masterful score. And to this day, I still, you know, I have a little playlist that when I go to sleep, I turn it on, and, you know, just some of the relaxing music, it helps me go to sleep. Or if I'm trying to do something quiet, it's amazing. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. It's amazing what he was able to do with such a limited palette of tools at his disposal. And it just really inspired me to really get into that kind of music. I can remember even going to a live concert and he was there, and it was really mind-blowing. I'm like, wow, I grew up playing all these games and listening to this music, and now I get to see the guy who made the music in person. It was just really, really incredible. And that music is, in my opinion, timeless. I mean, come on, One Winged Angel, the main theme, and there's so many other very, very memorable songs and tunes throughout the game. So in closing, Final Fantasy VII was the game that got me into JRPGs and really shaped me in who I, you know, became today, just really getting attached to Japanese, Asian culture, Japanese entertainment with anime, obviously Japanese games. I mean, clearly, if you know anything about me, JRPGs are still my favorite genre of all time and continues to be my favorite genre. I just owe so much to Final Fantasy. There's so many special memories I have of that game. I could go on for hours and hours, but I wanted to keep this concise and wanted to keep you guys listening. So thank you guys for checking out the debut episode of JRPG Journal. Let me know what you thought of it, if you like this format, ways it can improve, or just what you thought of it. And also leave your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII. Was it, you know, one of your first JRPGs, first RPGs? Does it hold a lot of nostalgia for you? Have you even played the game? And if you haven't, why you haven't? I'd love to, again, this show is all about getting the discussion going in the comments. So definitely leave. I'm really happy to talk about it with you. And guys, if you somehow missed my last video, definitely check out my Final Fantasy 15 retrospective. A lot of people seem to like it. I think it's pretty good. And I think the view count has definitely shown as much. If you haven't subscribed already and you really like my content, definitely subscribe and give it a little like if you enjoyed the video. And thank you once again, as always, for watching, and stay awesome.